Welcome back, YouTube. So we got another review. We're doing all the Warlock cards for Showdown in the Badlands. So we're just gonna get right into it. Our first legendary here for Warlock is Tram Conductor Gary. 7 mana 4/4 Battlecry. If you've excavated twice, summon 6/3/3 Tram cards with Rush. That's a really cool effect. Kind of reminds me of the old legendary that we had, like, I don't know, 5 expansions ago, however long it's been. That revolved around the soul shards. Basically, same effect, but for however many soul shards you had in your deck, you like summon them all up or whatever. But this one guarantees 6/3/3s with Rush. That's pretty good. And the fact you only have to excavate twice for that effect is not very hard. This is a really good legendary. I don't think it's a 5 out of 5, but it's definitely a 4, maybe even it's probably a 4 out of 5. The moment you plays it down, you'll be able to react right away, and the chances of you having a board left over is pretty big, and then that's going to force them out some type of removal, which will then, kind of go into your plays and develop another board. Like, this card's not bad. Pretty happy with it. I think it's going to be pretty good. And, the whole excavated type stuff, I think Warlock's going to be pretty solid with that too. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Up next is Guard, the Putrid. 4 mana 2/6. Your fell spells cost 1 less and have lifesteal. Battlecry, get 2 barrels of sludge. So if you place on turn 6, you'll get 2 of these right here, and they'll cost 1 mana. Then when this is played, discarded, or destroyed, deal 3 damage to the lowest health enemy. Now, it doesn't state minion, so this means it could hit face, which kind of is very interesting in the fact that, a lot of stuff, or the cards we're going to be talking about here is going to have a lot of destroy effects at the bottom of your deck, and there's some other cards that put these at the top and bottom, which is kind of interesting. Now I don't know how I feel about this card. I do like the signature. This is one of the cards that's getting a signature, by the way. I just don't know how consistent this is going to be. I feel like this might just be ran in like a, well, I guess there's a Highlander card for Warlock, so I guess if they're wanting to run Reno, this card will probably fit into a slot in that type of deck. But I think in like what Warlock has right now, it's not going to really see a place. It's not terrible for the cost and the stats that you get for it. And the fact you do get 2 of these, it's not completely bad, and it could be, discarded or played, and you'll still get that effect. It's just, see, deal 3 damage to the lowest enemy. So it looks like you have to pick if you play it from your hand. So I guess maybe not. I don't know. I'm kind of biased on this card so far. I don't really know how I feel about it. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Maybe here we'll talk about the other cards and we'll come back. Next up is Trolley Problem. It's a 3 mana spell. Discard your lowest cost spell. Summon 2/3/3 tram cards with Rush. Quick draw. Don't discard them. So it's basically 3 mana for 3/3 if you top deck it on turn 3, or any other time you play it. Or it could be, uh, you can discard your Barrel of Sludge and not have to, you'll be able to deal 3 damage, and then you also get 2/3/3s. So the, how they kind of like play together is kind of interesting. I think it's gonna be a solid card. I think it's gonna be, will probably be played in the probably some type of like aggro version too. They could probably be played in Imp Warlock, and whatever deck is wanting to run like Tram Conductor Gary is probably gonna appreciate Trolley Problem as well. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Smokestack, 1 mana Fell spell, by the way, deal 1 damage to a minion. If it dies, excavate a treasure. I don't like the fact that it has to die to get a treasure, so this kind of already makes it a little bit worse in my opinion, and the fact that Mortal Coil is still a thing where for 1 mana you could kill something and draw a card. I think drawing a card is a little bit better than excavating a treasure, but the fact that, the legendary treasure for Warlock is really insane. You're able to steal, 10 HP from your opponent. It's probably worth just playing this just for that effect alone. And you only have to excavate 4 times to get that card once. It's not completely bad. I would rather draw a card in my opinion, but I guess I haven't really watched very much of the theory crafting stream at all, or even seeing like how consistent the excavate feature is at all. But I think for whatever Warlock is wanting, or yeah, Warlock is wanting to do with this type of deck with the excavate feature, they're probably gonna run this over Mortal Coil. Even then, you could argue that Mortal Coil hasn't really seen much play, or it's been in the meta very often. But I think this is not terrible. I'll probably give it a 2 out of 5. But the fact that it does require it to die to get the excavate effect, I think I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's probably pretty average. It's probably gonna play no matter what if you are playing an excavate deck anyhow. Up next is Moagar Drill Fist, 4 mana 4/5. Not bad stat lines at all. Taunt, Death Rattle, Excavate a Treasure, and it's a Mech and Demon. So I'd much rather have this as a Battlecry effect rather than a Death Rattle effect, just because there's a lot of silence in the game. The fact that Priest got Pip or whatever its name is, and it could get copies of multiple Deathens and stuff like that. This kind of shuts down Drill Fist a bit. But we might not even have to worry about it. It's a mech and demon. It probably could find multiple copies of this pretty easily and not really worry about it. I do also like the artwork for it too. Like this guy looks pretty dope. Um, but the fact that it can sit on the board as a taunt, slows down your opponent, has good stats for 4 mana, you're probably not going to be too affected by playing this on turn 4. I'm gonna say it's a 3 out of 5 star card. It's not terrible. I do wish it was a battlecry effect though, but it's not bad. It's just prolonged reward basically. Up next is Sludge on Wheels. 3 mana, 1/5, rush. Whenever this takes damage, get a barrel of sludge and add 1 to the bottom of your deck. And this is kind of interesting because, playing with, Putrid here, the fact that this card you could play it, you're guaranteed to get 1. So whenever this takes damage, so if you trade, it takes damage, you'll get 1, and then you also get 1 at the bottom of your deck, I believe is how that effect works. So you're netting 2 barrel sludges, and then they cost 1 less if you have some on the board. And this also gains lifesteal as well because it's a fell spell. Oh, I guess this technically would have a lifesteal as well if it was if you played it on top of a Putricide as well. So that's kind of interesting as well. But I don't think it's completely bad. I think the stats are kind of weird for it. It's a 3 mana 1/5. Since it does have rush, it makes it a tad bit better. I'm gonna say it's a 2 out of 5 card, 2 out of 5 star card. But the fact that you just have to, I guess you trade. This probably gets you 4 of the barrel sludges. I just don't know how impactful sludges will be right now. I feel like just like the excavate feature is probably going to just be a tad bit better than the sludge and like mill version or whatever that they're trying to build with this. But this art is pretty cool. I mean, I like this guy. This guy reminds me of the slime guy, the 2 mana 1/2 from Nax Ramus that sums up a copy of itself. It reminds me of that guy quite a bit. Up next, it's Fracking. It's 1 mana spell. Look at the bottom 3 cards of your deck, draw 1 and destroy the other. So it's kind of built into the fact of putting 1 at the bottom and drawing 2 in your hand. It's kind of interesting. I don't like the fact that it's destroying stuff, but there is a lot of ways to add stuff to the bottom of the deck now with some other future cards. The fact that you look at the bottom, it's basically a dredge effect because you look at the bottom and you draw it. For 1 mana, it's not completely bad. You are losing 2 cards though, so sometimes you might see 3 cards that you really want, and you're gonna have to pick the best one for that situation, and it might punish you. But not a bad card. I don't know how I feel about it yet. There's another 4 mana 7/7 that does basically the same thing, except it doesn't draw you a card and it just destroys it. The 3 bottom of your cards, I believe. I think it's whenever it's attacked, but we'll talk about it in a little bit. I'm gonna say it's a 3 out of 5. Like, I don't think Warlock is gonna be too upset to destroy 2 cards at the bottom of the deck and draw 1. And the fact that you get to pick which ones you pick and the ones that get destroyed, I think that's pretty big. Especially because you'd select, and so being able to guarantee 2 of these barrel sludges get destroyed is pretty big, I think. So I'll give it 3 out of 5. Up next is Furnace Fuel. 4 mana fire spell. Whenever this is played, discard or destroy, draw 2 cards. So this kind of goes in with this. So you could forcefully destroy this and guarantee yourself 2 more cards, which is kind of interesting. But I just don't know how consistent that's going to be because you're going to be drawing cards and then burning cards and then adding more cards to your deck and then burning those cards. And so this whole cycle, I think it's just going to be kind of a mess and kind of a bit of a clutter. And I don't think it's going to be very consistent, but I might be wrong. But I think it's kind of cool. It's just a 4 mana draw too if you don't ever, discard or destroy it. So it's not completely bad. I'll give it a 2 out of 5. Waste Remover. So this is the guy I was talking about. 4 mana 7/7 demon. At the end of your turn, destroy the bottom 3 cards of your deck. Okay, so it's at the end of your turn. Well, for one, this artwork is really dope. This guy reminds me of Forearms from Ben 10 a little bit. But I mean, it's like what, Fell Reaver basically. It's a 5 mana 8/8. This is very similar to this, right? I believe it's like whenever it attacks, so it removes the top 3 cards of your deck. I don't remember. It's so long ago. But it kind of reminds me of this. And this card might be just so oppressive that this card might just make or break that deck and whether or not it's good. It is a demon, so you can find more copies of this guy too, with Amalgam of the Deep or any other demon discover effect. And the cool thing is, it's the bottom 3, and so if you've played a lot of these, and this guy lived quite a bit, and he put 3 at the bottom of the deck, this just destroys it and it deals 3 damage to wherever it wants to. I just don't know how consistent it's going to be. You're gonna have to constantly have barrels sludge in the bottom of your deck for this guy to kind of work, and so I think he'll run out of steam eventually. But maybe I'm wrong. I haven't really seen any decks about this lately. I'm just gonna say it's a 3 out of 5 star card just because the fact that you can play this on turn 4, have 7/7 stats, and then the chances of it getting removed right away is pretty unlikely. And I mean, you might burn 6 cards, but the fact that you'll be able to swing for 7 damage might just be enough. So 3 out of 5. Next is Disposal Assistant. 2 mana 3/2, Battlecry, and a Throttle. Put a barrel sludge on the bottom of your deck. So like you play this, it gets one on the bottom, and it dies, it puts another one on there, and so you play 2 of these in your deck, guaranteed 4. Makes this card a little bit better, I think. But the fact that you know, everything has to really play out very well for this card to go out. Like you have to have this on turn 2, you have to have your sludge on wheels, and you just have to have, you know, enough sludge effects to kind of keep it going, and then you have to have this guy on turn 4. I think there's just so much like things happening with that to make it, you know, very consistent. So maybe it might just be a tempo deck that just kind of beats them down, and then eventually it has some crazy plays, but maybe it won't be that way at all. I'm not really sure what to expect. But I don't know. I think the fact that you're guaranteed 2 from one card is pretty big. I'll probably give this a 4 out of 5 stars, especially like on the fact that like Warlock is wanting to do that, you know, style play. This card really plays into that style play very well, and this will probably see play no matter what in a sludge style deck or whatever, you know. I'll give it a 4 out of 5, but like, you know, in any other Warlock deck, this is not going to get played at all, I doubt. So it's probably, you know, in reality a 2 out of 5. But the fact that, you know, if a sludge deck does come to light, this card will be guaranteed to be played in that deck. So I'll say it's a 4 out of 5 for that reason. And then the legendary treasure here, the Azurite Snake, 4 mana, 5/5. Battlecry, your hero steals 10 health from the enemy hero. So, you know, going back to the excavate effects and all that stuff, you know, it might just be worth it to be able to, you know, get the Azurite Snake. And that might just be, you know, insane enough. I think I've seen one deck where I think it was a Regis Kilbin video that he's playing this, or he was playing against it. I don't remember, to be honest. Um, but you know, it's kind of crazy being able to steal 10 HP from them, and it doesn't like just deal the 10 damage; it takes it, so they can't heal up back to their 30 at all. It just eliminates that HP, and they can't get it back. All they can do is stack armor on top of it. So I think this card will be pretty, you know, meta defining probably. But the fact that there's not very insane excavate effects in Warlock, which I think is probably a good thing, because this card, I feel like, is probably the most broken one out of all of them. Um, it's probably tried to, you know, do something like try and keep it, you know, as balanced as possible, so it's not completely broken. But there are some new neutral cards that allow you to bounce stuff back. So I could see, you know, that kind of going together with this. Um, but let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the all the Warlock cards, and how you feel about the Azurite Snake. I do think the winner out of all those cards though is Tram Conductor Gary's, is kind of a board removal with a body, and you only have to excavate twice for it. I think this is very consistent. I think it's probably the best card Warlock has gotten from this set so far. So just let me know down in the comments what you guys think of it. Don't forget to like and subscribe.